learned how to push over the floor in my low dive. Great. That's awesome. We're happy for you. But sometimes I'll even like peel back the layers of like, well, what did that require of your character to be able to do that?
Right.
Let's praise that. Like, let's not just praise the outcome. How about all the efforts that you didn't get right in order so that you could learn and grow and develop? How about that? How about the resilience, the determination, the persistence that it required of you to be able to do that? Let's praise that, because that's kind of, to me, like a muscle. Like the more you use it, the stronger it gets, and the more that you are willing to put in the work, to show determination and grit to be able to get the outcome that you want. And I think we've talked about this before, like how good character is like my Dunkin' Donuts rewards app. The more you use it, the more you get. And like the more coffee I buy, the more I get for free. It's the same thing. The more that you flex your bravery muscles, the more you flex your persistence and determination muscles, the larger they get. And then that way, when the next obstacle and hurdle comes, it doesn't require so much effort from you. It doesn't require so much like deliberation. Am I going to do this or not? You're like, yeah, I'm doing it because I know I'm strong enough to be able to do it. And I think it's important that every single day that you praise yourself for something, whether that is, a game day and the outcomes weren't what you wanted. I'm going to praise myself because I chose in that moment, even if it was for 5 minutes, I chose in that moment that I was going to try to deal with the negative thoughts in my head and the limiting beliefs I had about myself. Or whether it's a training day of like, I didn't get that low dive, but I'm proud of myself that I didn't want to light Coach Jill on fire because I was so frustrated. I managed that a little bit better, right? Or it's a rest day. I'm proud of myself that I didn't think about football all day and I completely took it off and I feel refreshed, whatever it might be. I don't know if that's something that you do in your everyday life, but I'm trying to do that more and more.
I don't know that I do every day, but like, what a nice little thing to do for yourself. And I kept thinking of the phrase while you were talking, like, fake it till you make it, right? Everyone talks about fake it till you make it, but with something like this, you don't have to fake it. Like, you're actively looking for something, but it builds, I think, the outcome of fake it till you make it. Like, people are saying, oh, fake your confidence, fake this until you start to feel it. You don't have to fake it. You can find it. Find your confidence till you make it, right? Like, until it becomes habit. And I think that this is something you can add in every single day that actually does that for you. A little praise goes a long way. A little bit of like figuring out, what did I do well today? Or what am I just really proud of myself for? Where did I surprise myself? I think can start to build that, like, quote unquote, fake it till you make it, but it's actually real. It's not something you had to make up.
Totally. And extra brownie points if you actually write it down somewhere, whether it's in your notebook or your phone or whatever. September 4th, I showed grit and resilience because the last thing I wanted to do was to do RDLs, single leg, because I hate that exercise. I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. And I'm so glad that I did. Literally could take you 30 seconds to write that down or voice memo yourself. You can reflect back on it to be like, dang, I did do these things. Sometimes like, I'm on TikTok. I know that Maria makes fun of me for being on TikTok, but I'm like TikTok.
I'm now also on TikTok.
You are on TikTok. You're on the comedian side of TikTok. I am. I'm on a different side of TikTok, but I listen to a lot. Recently, I've been really trying to put myself, I'm really trying to stretch myself and more specifically with planning and being persistent, because I think persistence is like a withering virtue these days. Like if it's not fun or if I didn't do it right the first time, I'm done with it. Like, I just feel like persistence and perseverance is just a withering virtue. So for me, I saved this TikTok thing, this guy, and he was saying something that was like, it hit me where I was. And so for this entire week, although it's only Thursday, I've listened to that 30-second clip every day to start my day, because I wanted to put myself in this like really good mindset of like, I want to be persistent and I can be persistent. It's just a friendly reminder for me, a friendly reminder of like, you have been persistent in your past and you can use it today, right now. And it was just like a really good way for me to like set myself up for the day. Because that persistence over the course of like, I don't know, 6 months to a year, that feels overwhelming to me. And sometimes when I feel overwhelmed, I'll stop doing something because I'm like, it's too big. But trying really hard, being super intentional, and we'll see if this works. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to try and explore it, because ultimately I think it will make me better in the long run, whether it works for me and I choose that, or whether I choose something else that helps me choose persistence more often.
I had to write it down. I liked it so much, so I will certainly be using that.
All right. Number 2. So if number 1 is to find yourself something every day to praise yourself for, number 2 is try active recall. So what do I mean by that? Active recall. I'm not sure what happens when you guys go to your sessions outside of TKI, but when you come to TKI, we have intended outcomes for our session, right? So we'll start our session with me and you, like we'll design our session based around whatever our intended outcomes are. And we try really hard to like use bumper lanes of our intended outcomes. We want to stay within those bumper lanes of what we're trying to explore, because if we give random feedback all over the place, it's really hard and difficult to take away stuff from that, right? So we want to just, our intended outcomes are straight and narrow, and we're going to focus on these couple things, right? When you are in the session and your brain is a little uncomfortable because you're trying to learn something that's new or something that's difficult, you're in the session, and when you walk away from it, you can just maybe have a tendency to leave the session where it was, right? Just leave what you learned on the field. And I think it's incredibly important to actively recall what you just learned so that you don't forget it, right? There's statues all over the world because we're forgetful people. We forget what happened before us. We forget about our history. We have certain holidays so that we don't forget the contributions that a person or people have made, right? So as we know we're forgetful people, if we can find some different ways to actively recall what we learned, we have a better chance of being able to focus on that thing, or remember that thing, or implement that thing, or just bring to our awareness what it is that we're working on. So what could active recall look like? It could look like you get in the car and you're like, hey, mom, dad, this is what I learned today, and I want to teach you about it. I want to teach you about set shape and how that might change. I want to teach you about how to be aggressive in 1v1 situations. And it's not for your parents. It's just for you to be able to teach someone else, because when you teach something, you have to know it. And if you don't know it, you can ask some more questions. But actively recall, like on the way home, take 5 minutes, teach your parents about set shape. When you're done training, there's a goalkeeper that comes here, Sarah Perlis. Every time she's done her training session, she writes down some notes in her notebook. And yes, it does take a little bit more time, maybe a couple minutes. But next time she comes in, she always knows what she worked on and how it went. And she has some kind of idea of like, well, I want to continue to work on this and I need some more support with it. Or, hey, I'm going home to my training session and I learned this at TKI last week and I want to try it. And she gives her coach maybe a little insight on what she's exploring and working on, which I think is phenomenal. But maybe you wait until, if you're training on TKI on a Monday, you on Thursday look back in your notebook and just give it a little like leaf through and see what you've been working on, to maybe actively recall that before your game on the weekend so you can continue to implement it there. So active recall is just going to lead to longer lasting learning. That was a tongue twister.
That was a tongue twister, but knowledge, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. That's probably something as a coach that you reflect back on a lot. Like, hey, I worked on, probably in college soccer more, because you're working with the same players every week. And like, do you do IDPs? Because that's like another way to do some recall.
Yeah, so we do IDPs, and field players will get it like every 2 weeks. They'll have new like little tidbits of feedback in their IDP, like maybe a sentence or two. Goalkeepers I work so closely with that they're getting like pretty personalized feedback every single day. So I reserve our IDP time for like different moments throughout the season: preseason, pregame, conference, and but I do film with them. And every time we do film, my ending question is, what did you hear me say as the takeaways from this? And then that way I can write down what they said. And then if I need to clarify, I can clarify. Like maybe they really took a lot of feedback off what I said about protecting the area, but I also wanted them to hear the praise I gave them on in possession and how they were breaking lines. So it just gives me another opportunity to make sure, one, we're on the same page, but two, what are the things that are sticking out for them and how can I use that in my session planning moving forward?
Yeah, that's really good. And then for those of you who don't know what IDP is, it's just individual development plan. And that leads me to my third point is ask more questions. It's not like, hey, Tori, how can I improve? It's not that.
Yeah.
That's not really going to help you, like the random feedback here and there. Hey, Tori, I had a game this weekend and I was under pressure and I kicked the ball out of bounds. Can we talk through this? Can we work through this? Right? Ask more questions. Reach out for more support. Hey, Coach Jill, I was feeling super nervous about this showcase that I had last weekend, and because I had so many nerves, I like hesitated in phase one outside the box, and they dribbled it around me. Can you support me in this? Hey, Coach Leah, I have some time this next season in my fall to implement some strength and conditioning. Can you help me support me with my specific goals of becoming more explosive? Like, go to.
Welcome to the Keeper Institute podcast. My name is Tori Corsaro. I'm a strength and conditioning and goalkeeper coach here at the Keeper Institute and your host for today's show. The Keeper Institute is a unique goalkeeper training facility in New Jersey aimed at developing better goalkeepers and better people. On this podcast, we will be discussing all things goalkeeping, character development, and more.
Welcome back to another episode of the Keeper Institute podcast.
Well, I don't have my buzzer. I'm not at TKI.
I know, but you know what? Everyone should admire the backdrop you do have because it's beautiful.
You're very kind. Thank you.
A lot of hard work went into that. So if you guys feel like you're watching this, not just listening, throw that lady a compliment because it looks good.
You're kind.
All right, let's get right into today's topic. It's a good one. I think it could be useful. All goalkeepers, all levels, but coaches, if you're listening to this, this could be helpful for you instead of just blind advice. So without further ado, how to establish presence, or what does presence look like in a goalkeeper? Per typical Jill and Tori fashion, we're going to give you a list of 3 because that's what we do, because we love lists and it's tangible and you can do it. So we're going to talk about presence. And first and foremost, I think what happens when people say, oh, this goalkeeper doesn't have presence, or I want to see your presence on the field. A lot of times goalkeepers are like, well, what do you mean? What does that mean you want me to do? If you tell me I want you to affect more crosses, okay, you need me to come out and win crosses. But when you say presence, sometimes I think it can feel super vague for people and they don't necessarily know what you mean. But I think as a coach, what I think of when I hear presence is what is their demeanor on the field and how are they affecting the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, obviously outside the 5 tests of a goalkeeper that we've defined at TKI, there's a lot of different qualities that can make up a goalkeeper. How fast are you? How agile are you? How nimble are you? How brave are you? All those things. And there's a scale between I'm super brave to I'm not very brave. And everybody kind of falls somewhere on those different types of spectrums. And everybody has different combination of competencies. But one thing that needs to be established is presence. For example, I was talking to a coach and he was like, well, she's not on the national team because she looks small in the goal. Not that she is small, she just looks small. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, to me, that just means she doesn't really have a presence. She doesn't have a presence about her. She doesn't have that X factor that she relies on to maybe develop a little bit more presence. So that this is maybe like this elusive thing that we talk about, goalkeeper presence, but we really want to give you 3 tangible ways that you can increase your presence, or at least, start to create a little bit of curiosity within you about how do you have presence and how are you going to intentionally develop it?
Yeah. I mean, you have to think about it just like anything else. It's not just something that takes life of its own. You have to give it awareness and you have to make active choices to create the presence you want. So,
right. Because it's not like a technical skill, right? It's not like, oh, I need to work on my non-dom, so I'm going to go outside and, hit 20 non-doms, or I need to work on solving pressure by using mat. So I'm going to put myself in this training scenario that I can be, encouraged to use mat. It's not like that. It's more of an intentional mental decision of how you're going to make this important in your game.
Yeah. And it's difficult because you have to bring an awareness to it, and most likely during a match of like, okay, here's what my presence is going to be, or like during a team scrimmage, or as you're sitting and reflecting on session. So I think that the best way to get started is to start thinking about this list. So number one for us is communication. I think that we don't know how to communicate as young goalkeepers because people just ask it of us and they don't tell us like, okay, well, here's what communication means right now. Here's what you can do. So at TKI, we started to talk about just like a few things that are non-negotiable, like in possession. It's not just like, I want the ball, right? That's too hard. So we say hard to feet, or some people say home, or into space, or set. And these different things have different meanings for how I want the ball, but it's an easy, non-negotiable way to start working on communication, thus building your presence as well. So obviously it goes well beyond how you ask for the ball. It's about shifting and controlling your back line. It's about conveying a message with a certain sense of urgency based on the situation. But communication can really pay off dividends in a goalkeeper's presence.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows I watch NWSL, call NWSL, and that's what Jordan Bloomer's X factor is her communication and her presence, her personality. And especially when your team is going through a really hard time or a little bit of a dip in form, the results may be wobble. But for a goalkeeper to be able to be strong back there, it instills trust. It instills a belief that you can't quantify on stats. You can't quantify presence. That's, I think, the bit of the problem with it is save percentage, passing percentage. You have all those different types of stats. You don't have any way to necessarily quantify objectively presence, but subjectively you can look at the confidence of the back line. You can look at the confidence of the midfield of, okay, we can take more risks because we know we have our goalkeeper back there who's strong, and we have faith in that goalkeeper, and we have a trust in that if the ball gets past us, it's going to be even more difficult for them to score because we have a fantastic goalkeeper. That almost allows everyone to be automatic, which is like in flow state, right? We're not thinking about our choices. We're not thinking, oh, I need to shift over here left, and because there's a runner here, I need to drop. No, it's just instinctive. And it allows you to get in that flow state, which is where we want to be, where you're not necessarily thinking, you're not hesitating, you're just reacting on your gut instinct. And when you have someone that's behind you, that's establishing that type of presence, it's easier to be in that instinctual game mode flow state rather than just being like questioning everything, freezing, hesitating, and almost like in this like fight, flight, or freeze state. So not only are you with your communication impacting the opponent and limiting their chances, but you're also hyping up your back line. You're also instilling that confidence, that belief in them for that you guys are in a good place, and that no matter what the opponent does, you're going to be in the best position to stop what they're trying to do.
Brilliant. And it's not this incessant, constant communication. It's direct. It's asking things of your back line when you need them in urgent moments. It's shifting or moving them. It is encouragement and praise. It's not telling my striker to shoot when they're in the attacking half. So we could do a whole podcast just on communication and what effective communication looks like as a goalkeeper. But because this one's about presence, we're kind of going to just leave it there. Being able to communicate, knowing that you're communicating certain moments and allowing to take that pressure off your back line and like create that flow state like Jill discussed is super important for developing what is your presence in the net.
Hit us with
number two, be decisive. So I think one thing that I think a lot about when I say this, it's a funny analogy, but like you and I, we like to ride our bikes. So we cycle and you're clipped in and you're on the road, and you're sometimes on roads that cars can go 50. And one of the things that they tell you when you're learning how to bike like that, not just bike at a park, is be predictable for drivers. You want to be predictable for drivers because it's safer for you, right? If I'm on the shoulder, I'm on the shoulder. If I'm taking a turn, I'm signaling that with my hand. I'm not doing sharp, crazy turns. I'm not swerving. I want to make it predictable for them, just like I need them to make it predictable for me, because it keeps us safe. And I think about that as a goalkeeper. Like, can I be predictable for my teammates. Like there's a ball over the back line and I'm not making a rash decision to come out. I'm coming out because I think I can impact it. And that's something that they kind of know for me. It's not my teammates making the decision, oh, Tori's going to come and yell for me to come. It's they kind of know that there's an awareness or a connection between us based on past experience that helps them when I'm decisive. And I think that is huge at all levels, but especially as you get older and as you start to play with teammates more consistently. Like when you're young, you don't play with the same teammates all the time or play against the same teams. But as you get older, that starts to happen. And I think being decisive in your actions can go a really long way with what your presence is, because it allows you to do what you're good at. And it also allows your teammates to play off you. Okay, she's coming out. I'm going to go in behind to protect the goal line. Or she's calling keeper for this cross. I'm going to protect her at all costs and keep her safe and make sure that I'm there for any rebounds.
Yeah. And I think just being super decisive, like we were talking about this yesterday in our coaching college meeting with Faith, is there was a ball over the back line and the defender's running and they're looking at the goalkeeper and the goalkeeper's looking at the ball. And so both players are coming forward at each other. And the attacker reads this and nips in and gets the ball and goes around both of them and scores a goal. And we were talking about how many different ways that could have been solved. And the goalkeeper could have come outside the box and cleaned it up. The goalkeeper could have called keeper and asked for the defender to shield and create a little pocket away from the attacker so the goalkeeper can clear the ball or pick the ball up inside the box. The defender could have headed it back to the goalkeeper, at which point the goalkeeper would have needed to be high, right? Or the defender could have settled the ball and passed it back to the goalkeeper, in which the goalkeeper would have been low in their position. And so there was at least 4 different things that could have happened. And what ended up happening was the attacker got the ball because no one was decisive and no one communicated what they needed. And so we need to think of ourselves more as, I am the conductor on this train. I am not a passenger in the seat going wherever the train's going. I'm actually steering the train and I'm driving the train, and everything that everybody does is dictated upon what I want and what I do. So if I drop all the way back, I need to communicate to my defender, hey, you're passing this ball back to me, or you're passing it out of bounds. Or if I'm coming up high, you need to stick your butt in the attacker and create a little pocket for me to come win this ball, right? So every single thing that our team does is predicated off of our decision. If I'm coming off my line for a cross, my defenders know I got to seal off the attackers and create a little lane for the goalkeeper to come win the ball. If I'm not coming to win the ball, they need to go win the ball. So everything our team does is dictated upon my action, my decision, my behavior. And so if our teammates don't know what my actions and behaviors are, how do they know what job they're supposed to do, which leads to ineffectiveness, right? Which then starts to leak in those, like the misgivings or the doubts start to creep in of like, does the goalkeeper really know what they're doing? And so everybody is then hesitating because you're unpredictable, like to your point in your analogy. Also, with being decisive, it really impacts the opponent, right? So if I'm aggressive and coming off my line high, well, the opponent knows, like, I'm not going to put it there again because the goalkeeper is going to be able to get it. So I'm actually going to put it into the wide channels, and I'm going to make sure that I don't afford the goalkeeper an opportunity to win this ball. If they put it in the wide channel, job done. That's like so much better for us because now our team has time to get back. I have time to get into a position to prevent. So the more decisive we are, the more clear it is to our teammates, and the more the opponent has to adjust. And when you're adjusting to like your game plan B and C, you would think that those probably wouldn't be as effective as your A game plan.
Yeah, it's so funny when you put it that way. Like everything is based on our decisiveness, but it is true. Like when you're talking about that back half of the field, like you really do have the opportunity to put your stamp on a game from multiple different situations, which is pretty cool. All right, Jill, hit us with number 3.
All right. The last one is something I think you develop over time. And for a young player, it's hard because you're still trying to figure it out. But I think we ultimately want to know what our strengths are and who we are as people and players. I think having a strong sense of identity of who we are allows us to play to our strengths more and rely on our strengths in the flow state, but also rely on our strengths when maybe it's more difficult, when maybe the score line isn't favorable to our team, or when maybe I've made a mistake, or I just think when listen, I am elite at protecting the goal area. That is my bread and butter. I'm going to, no matter what else happens today, I'm going to try to do that to the best of my ability. And I know I'm good at that. Even if I came and flapped for the first cross, I know I'm good at it. So I want to trust myself in those moments. And guess what? The better I get at coming off my line and crossing situations, the further the opponent has to play the ball from goal, which means less threatening attacks, which is better for us, right? And if I can rely on that, if I can rely on my communication, independent of whatever the score is, independent of my performance, then I can utilize that when it's hard, and I don't have to start to question. I don't have to hesitate. I don't have to start to wonder about, oh, am I actually good at this? Can I influence the game? Oh, but I've already made this mistake. You get into your head. So if you go into the game knowing these are my strengths, that's not going to change minute to minute, right? If I'm a lead at protecting the goal area, even if I made a mistake in that in the first minute of the game, that doesn't change that I'm still really good at that. A one mistake doesn't change it. That's my X factor. And I'm going to rely on that today. Or it doesn't change like your objectives. So sometimes people have performance goals, they have like big picture goals, right? Like I want to be Division I soccer player, or I want to be on the national team, big picture goals. But we also need performance goals in game. So in game, I'm going to stay attached to my back line vertically. I can do that no matter what is happening in the game. I can do that no matter what the opponent is doing. I can stay connected to my back line. I'm going to communicate large majority when the ball's in the middle and defensive third. That's where I'm going to communicate today. I'm going to put my energy in communicating to that. I'm going to make sure that we have a solid rest defense because the opponent has a really good fast attacker in transition. Great. 3 performance goals that I can do in that game, no matter what is happening, no matter what the score line is, no matter what the opponent is doing, no matter how many mistakes I made, I have those 3 performance goals. I know that that's where I'm going to influence the game today. So no matter what happens, even if we score and maybe the score is 2-3-0, I don't want to shut off. I want to stay in those performance goals, and I want to impose my goals into that game, and I want to impose my strengths into that game. And when we have a clear identity of who we are and what our performance goals are, it allows us to be more decisive, and it allows us to communicate more clearly, overall enhancing our presence. And I just want to bring back one more quick little anecdote is when I played, I had a teammate and her name was Lisa Devanna, and she was the star forward of Australia. And she was on my club team. And she would always say, oh my gosh, I hate playing the US. I hate playing the US. And I mean, I think a lot of people shared that sentiment, but she would say, Hope is just so scary to me. She's just so scary. She makes the goal look small. And like, Hope was like, I don't know, 5'8", 5'9", and like slim. Like she wasn't a domineering physical presence. She just had this X factor about her presence that instilled fear in other players. That the attackers knew that it was going to be hard to score that day, that it was going to be hard to get past her. It was going to be hard to make her ruffle her feathers in possession. And immediately, like I had never really heard a forward talk like that before. And it really was enlightening to me of like, you don't even need to do anything on the field necessarily. Like your reputation can just provide such a presence that is unsettling for opponents, right? And I think when you look at Alyssa Nair and Hope Solo and Brianna Scurry, they all had presence in different ways. Like, Hope was like an athletic specimen, like made the goal look smaller, but she also was like so smart and savvy on the ball. And she played to her skill set, even though it wasn't super aggressive, because she like let the center backs do a little bit more. Like her shot stopping, her long balls with her feet, like with pinpoint accuracy, like whereas Alyssa was a little bit more introverted, but like a competitor. Like she saw red, like competition wise. So like they aren't the same goalkeeper, but they still magnified and amplified this like massive presence that they expressed in their own individualistic ways that ultimately set them up to be more confident, set teammates up to be more confident in them, and put them in a position to be able to influence the game in a positive manner. That was long-winded. Sorry.
It's good though. It's good. I mean, it's three totally different people, because I also do think, like, to your point about how each person's presence is different and looks different and feels different to probably play with, is important, because some people are quiet, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you can't have presence. It just means that you need to know who you are as a goalkeeper so that you can bring that X factor, and so that your presence can be developed intentionally, not just set aside.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Which leads me to something also equally as important, Jill, which is TKI University. If you want to learn how to establish your own presence, if you want to learn more about like what communication can look like and how you can effectively apply that in your game, if you want to learn about what you could do to be more decisive on protecting the goal or the space or the goal area, you're not going to want to miss TKI University. For the first time ever, we're offering it both on the East Coast and the West Coast. I am lucky enough to get to be the person who's going to now run it on the East Coast. I couldn't be more excited to get this opportunity. And I think it's just a really cool experience for both goalkeepers, but myself, to educate ourselves and work together and collaborate on something special. And I know Coach Cam feels the same. She's going to be leading that on the West Coast. And we are just so pumped to get this going.
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper position is massively underserved and misunderstood from goalkeeper coaches and head coaches alike. And so we really just want to simplify goalkeeping. And the coolest part about TKI, I've been doing it for TKI University, is I've been doing it for 5 years. Next year will be our 6th year doing it. And for us to see tangibly the difference that TKI University is affording for goalkeepers within their film and their individual sessions is mind-boggling to me, because we get to influence people we've never met physically in real life, and to be able to see them, you know, have open body shapes, change their scanning times and abilities, and to just see it unlock so much potential is so crazy to me and so rewarding. And I think if you're a goalkeeper that's like, man, I really want to be more confident because I want to understand the game myself more, it is the best class. We meet one time with you guys is Tech Tac, one time with Dr. Christiana Ogunsami to understand the mental game. And then there's a lab for everyone to kind of bring their clips and speak individually about some of the problems that they're facing. So it's one of my favorite things that we do per year. And if you guys want to be more confident, please check out those details. All right, you got a question? Whose turn is it for the question?
I think it's my turn, but do you have one? Because you seemed like you might have been antsy over there.
No, you go. Mine is, I can save for another time.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, because mine's not really all, I guess it's a little insightful, but I want to know the best part of your job. And it could be any one of your jobs, mom, analyst, goalkeeper coach. I want to know the best part.
Okay, so I kind of actually spoke about this yesterday, which was Tuesday the 23rd on our social media. And I was really reflecting upon hard. And I think when you reflect back on your life, some of the best times that you can remember had some sort of resistance to it, right? So like, I don't remember a lot of games that we won 6-7-0. Like, it really did. I didn't do anything. I could sit in a lawn chair and it didn't really impact the game, right? But what I can remember are the times that we lost 2-1, or we lost in penalties, or we won in penalties, or we won a really close game against a tough opponent, a tough rival. I remember the most meaningful things typically to me are when you feel a resistance. So I broke my hand, but I made the World Cup team, right? I lost my sister, but I made the Olympic roster. Like, it's about that resistance, like, that affords you an opportunity to let your best self come out. So like, to develop resilience and to be resilient and to make a decision and a commitment to yourself, to follow through with that commitment, whether it's, you know, a physical thing where you're like, I'm committing to trying to make this team, so I'm going to get after it in the gym, or like a personal character commitment of like, when I don't get named as the starting goalkeeper, I still show up for my teammates. Like, those are the things that I reflect back on in terms of like, I'm really proud of myself for that. And I feel a lot of fulfillment from that, independent of whatever the outcome is. I feel really fulfilled. So like, when it's hard with my kids, like, or if they pick up something that I've been trying to role model for them, that's really fulfilling. Or when I study hard for a game and I enjoy the game, because you get to educate people and like just have a good show and like entertain people. Or at TKI, when you're like, man, I'm really trying hard to understand session design, and I'm working at it and it didn't work, and I tried again and I'm still like digging in a little bit more, and ultimately it comes out. Like, to me, like, those are the best parts about life in general. And instead of trying to avoid resistance, trying to approach it a little bit more and figure out like, okay, what do I need right now? What do I need to tap into right now to be able to overcome this? Because no matter if you play goalkeeper for the rest of your life or 5 more minutes, if you just breathe, you're always going to have hard, right? And you're always going to have resistance. And I think being able to handle that resistance better is what ultimately is fulfilling.
That's good.
Another long-winded answer.
That's fine. We love long-winded around here. This is a long-winded friendship, Jillian. You know that. Come on.
All right,
we don't have the time to be long-winded, you and I.
I know.
Mine's pretty simple. Joy. Like, seeing the joy on my players' faces when things are good, or when something little happens, or when I'm at TKI and you have a parent say to you like, gosh, they were talking about quitting and they're not anymore. Or like, they do something for the first time, like they spread in a live setting and their just face lights up. Like, they're usually pretty stoic and like they smile, or they make a great save and they smile, or they leave a group session, joking around with one another. I think the joy of them experiencing that emotion brings me so much fulfillment and so much pride in what I do, and so much pride in like how we show up for people. And I think that is my absolute favorite part of my job. And when things are hard or when I'm busy, that's what I try to circle back to and be like, that's why you do what you do, is for the moments like that.
It's so funny because my question to you, and we can save this to next time, was going to be, what's your why? Because I think understanding that, for life is really important, but we'll circle back to that next time.
Let's circle back. I love that. And I love when you say circle back. It's like we're in corporate America.
We'll revisit that at another time.
Later date.
Yeah. Which we're probably going to have some more podcasts to do that on. But you guys, we want to support you no matter where you live, no matter how you goalkeeper, whether it's 9 years old and it's your second day ever, or whether you're a pro. We want to support you. We love the position. We're so passionate about helping people achieve their goals, greater things than we've ever done. So if that's you, please reach out to us, drop us a DM, send us an email, a pigeon carrier, whatever it's going to take to get you guys to get what you need, because we want to support you. Please let us know. And until then, we have some fall clinics coming up. We have a camp with Kaylin Sheridan, and potentially working on some West Coast things. So we want to work with you. We want to see you. We want to enjoy being with you, as Tori wants to do. And until then, we will catch you later.
Catch you later.